It is Sunday night, and I am recording the last regular of the Sunday night videos that I really hope have been useful for everyone, and kind of using the classic background behind me, the kitchen window. And it's been fun. This course has been one of the more fun times I've had in a long time in academics. Why is that? Because of what you folks have done, particularly in the discussions and in your observations and in your enthusiasm and in your content. Really mean that when I say that this may have been the best discussion board I have seen ever, maybe in any course that I've taught. Certainly, though, the best in a long time. And the only ones that are responsible for that is you. You people did a great job, and I expect nothing less in this last week, because I think everybody has really kind of gotten into it, and hopefully it was the interest in the material, the interest in the questions, and your sharing your opinions and your knowledge that has helped everyone else. So that's been great. Last week we started in with what seems to be in the sport management programs, that ever-present thought about Title IX and what did it mean. And we mostly think of Title IX in terms of the opportunities it's created for gender equity in college sports. But I think from some of the material that you saw last week, you can see also how it affected the economics of sport and the economics of the whole picture in not just college sport, but what came after it, professional sport, and opportunities that perhaps might not have existed without that law. And as you also saw, there are people who are not too thrilled with it, and understandably so. If you were a men's team that got cut to make way for balancing, shall we say, you might not have thought it was too fair. Yet, without that balancing, would a certain women's team ever have appeared on certain campuses? Hard to say, but I think you can see how it became an emotional issue, certainly a social issue, and because of those, an economic issue. And we're going to continue into this last week looking just a little bit more at the picture of college sports. What's it about? How is it run? Where does the money come from? You know, we hear about college sports being a business. Tomorrow's going to be a pretty dramatic event. The Big 12 conference is meeting, and we'll find out about one more round of conference expansion. This has been revolving around money, according to most people, but it's really an issue that goes beyond that, because when in this issue you can see how sport takes over and becomes emotional. Fan bases get involved. We're sitting here in Connecticut, where I know the University of Connecticut is very hopeful to be included in any kind of expansion that involves a Power 5 conference, but we can also see how football is the guiding factor here. What's going to happen? Nobody really knows what's going to happen with the Big 12 situation, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens after tomorrow afternoon. So with that in mind, that's where I decided to head this week's discussion with a question that really has a lot of complexity to it if you think about it, and that's whether college athletes should be paid. Now, the Power 5 conferences have made a move towards what's called total cost of attendance, which allows student athletes to get some extra money over and above the scholarship room and board, tuition room and board that they used to have only. And it recognizes that it does cost more than that to go to college. But, you know, the other divisions don't have it. I have told you how I coach at Post. Post is a Division II school. Division II schools do not offer full athletic scholarships. Our scholarship packages are based on combinations of athletic and academic awards. Not everybody gets a full scholarship. Not everybody gets even a half scholarship. It's a very, very interesting process. Yet for me, and for others who are involved in it, I can tell you that our student athletes and our coaches put in as much time as a Division I athlete in a Power 5 conference. For instance, just 2 weeks ago, we had the Intercollegiate Tennis Association East Regional Division II tournament. And given travel, back and forth to Long Island, competition, coaching, that whole weekend, I put together an estimate to report on what we did. I spent 55 hours over the weekend, over 3 days, coaching tennis. It's yeah, and coaching tennis involved travel and all sorts of things, but 55 hours that these student athletes were putting in. Now, this is a burden. This is something that they take their time. And so you really have to understand how student athletes have to cope with their own situation. It's no different in Division I, Division II, or Division III. Yet we haven't heard anything about asking Division II and III athletes to be paid, but we hear a lot about it at Division I. So that's the basis of this week's discussion question, and I'm sure you'll do a great job with it as you have done. And believe me, having a personal interest in it, I'll be very interested in what your opinions are. We also have this week the final exam, if you will. It's not really an exam, it's an exercise. I think we did a good job of laying it out last week. Nobody's asked any questions, so I assume it's fairly self-explanatory. But what I really want people to do is to take on this opportunity to apply so many things that you've learned and talked about and worked on. Pick a situation and essentially sit back, look at the big picture, look at the global picture, look at really all the perspectives that you can from this assignment, and look at a sport or a sport entity and come up with a plan for ensuring the economic health and well-being of that sport over the next 10-year period. It's a complex process. It's going to require you to think in many different ways. You're going to really have to think like an economist and like a business person, without question. Think about whether your sport should stay local or become international. Think about whether your sport needs to get bigger or get smaller. Think about where your sport needs to be played and offered as public spectacle. All these kind of things. Think about infrastructure. Think about economic situations. Think about social ramifications. Think about all of that as you put this assignment together. I think it's going to be very interesting, and one that we've had some great responses with in the past, and I'm looking forward to what you guys do tonight and going forward for the rest of the week. If I don't get a chance to speak to everyone again, let me just reiterate, this has been a really great class. I have personally enjoyed it more than most. You've made it what it is. I thank you for that. I hope you've gotten a chance to maybe broaden your horizons and learn a little bit about sport from a perspective that we don't often see it from, or don't often have to think of it from. But without this perspective, would we get the opportunity to see the sport that we all really enjoy so much? So again, thank you very much. If you do have any questions, hopefully I can get to do one more video. And good luck with the final. Thank you.